Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Let's Talk Sports show. I am your host, Nick Bodkins. As always, baby, it is Thursday night, and we do got a show ready for y'all tonight. We're going to be having none other than Mr. Triple FTP himself, Ryan Larrison, joining us, answering all the fantasy questions. We're going to put our fantasy guy up against his fantasy guy. As the drafts, we're getting there. It's some drafts, leagues are already started. I know most of the people who are in the Scott Fish Bowl are already drafting. So those drafts will be happening soon. We'll also be talking. We'll have a little bit obligatory Cowboy talk with Ashton Nix as well. So that'll be happening later on the back end of the show. But as always, we got to bring the guys in. If you guys missed Monday's show, we had a great show first before we bring the guys in. Great show with Jim and John on Monday. Please check that out. It was a great show. We talked a little hockey, a little wrestling, a little baseballs. We're at the All-Star break. So it was just a great show Monday night. So, let's bring in the guys. Johnny, what's up, my man? How you doing, brother?
What is going on, man? Excited for another great episode of the Let's Talk Sports show, man. And I get to do a little producing here. So hopefully I don't screw it up too bad, so I don't get one of those emails from Tanner saying what the hell you've been doing. But now I'm looking forward to it, man. We're gonna have some fun. Looking forward to talking to Ryan, get our fantasy stuff situated so that we can be as prepared as possible. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe, smash that like button, click on the little bell. And Ryan is definitely somebody that you want to follow for any type of fantasy information and stuff like that. Ryan is a killer at fantasy, but we'll see what happens with him and Scott tonight. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and looking forward to it, man. Always looking forward to these shows.
Most definitely. Johnny, let me get your thoughts on the MLB All-Star game. I thought it was pretty intriguing. I thought it was I feel like I said this on a different show last night, Cub Cadential. I said, to me, baseball has the best All-Star game because you can't fake it, right? Like you can't half-ass baseball.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. 110%. It's definitely the best of all the All-Star Pro Bowl type games because, like you said, you can't half-ass playing baseball. The guys are still throwing 90 plus, so that's what makes it the most enjoyable to watch. The home run derby is whatever, and the dunk contest, you know what I'm saying? But the Pro Bowl is pretty much flag football, but they just happen to have all the equipment on. And then the NBA is just basically, it's like if you're playing out in the street, just free balling it all game long because there's no defense at all. But no, I love the baseball All-Star game for that simple fact that they do, everybody still plays hard. Guys want to win that. So it makes it a little bit more fun, but I'm anxious for the regular season to start back up, man, so we can get back to the games that matter.
Yeah, let's bring in one of the other guys, Mr. Sam, Mr. Third Down himself, as he's been newly called now.
What up?
Sam, what's up, my man?
I was going to serenade you with pictures of you. Pictures of me, but you had to go ruin it with the Mr. Third Down. Now, you know what? Like Chris Jericho says, you're on the list. All right? You're on the list. Anyway, I'm doing good, Nick. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. What did you catch into the All-Star game? And I know you said you're going to Cincinnati to watch a little Ella Dela Cruz on this weekend. How exciting for that?
Nice.
Oh, I'm pretty pumped about it. Sure, I'm with my in-laws, but, get to watch baseball and wear Guardians gear and probably get flicked off the entire time as I sit there. But, that's all part of it. I didn't get a chance to watch the All-Star game. Sounds like a good time, so I'll have to go back and watch clips of it and educate myself a little bit. Enjoy it.
What was you're Mr. Wrestler guy? What was your thoughts on Monday Night Raw before we bring in Scott?
I've been having such a good time with wrestling, but this is the first episode that I've been watching. See, I got back into wrestling after WrestleMania. This is the first episode where I was like, ugh. Like, I don't know. It just fell flat. And then you hear, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Zane and Kevin started fighting the Judgment Day in the gorilla position back there. Like they were having were having words about how crappy that match was and whatnot. Bad spots and all that stuff. So I'm curious. I'd be really curious to be a fly on the wall of that discussion. about who was supposed to be where and blah, blah, blah like that. But, yeah, it was a week. I thought it was kind of a weak show, to be honest with you. But still looking forward to SmackDown this Friday.
Yeah, it'll be good, interesting. Shout out here to this kid right here, Arrowhead News and Rumors Report. I was on his show yesterday, actually. It was a good show. Please check it out. He's 14-year-old, putting in work. He's really knowledgeable. So if you haven't checked that out, especially if you're a Chiefs fan, check out Arrowhead News and Rumors and Report on YouTube. Give the kids some love, give the kids some support, because we were all 14-year-old at one time, loving sports. And I told him last night, if I was 14, that would be me. I would be you right now, putting on my own YouTube show and things like that at 14, because that's all I ever wanted to do. And the kid's on his way. So, and I honest to God, the kid is better than a lot of half the people who have got podcasts. I promise you, the kid was knowledgeable. He was great. So please check it out. And speaking of great, guys, did you know
Hall of Famer.
we are amongst a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Who knew? Who knew that this man from Belmont, am I saying it right? Is it Belmont High School?
Yep.
Belmont High School in Massachusetts, back in the 1930s, when James Naismith was putting down the basket, this guy was putting it in the hole. Give it up for our very own. Every show's got a Hall of Famer, boys, and now we finally got one. Give it up for our very own Hall of Famer, Scott Cobe.
Yeah. Pulled out the shades and everything, boy.
The boy. The shades are
all of you peasants.
Scott, don't get too
Dan
big.
said I needed to do something. So that's right.
Did you see that? He nodded at me.
Don't get too big time for us now, Scott. I know the offers are going to be on the table for Fox Sports, ESPN. Just remember where you started at, buddy.
I told Dan I need the Johnny Cruz contract, or I'm going free agency. That's it.
Don't know.
What's up, guys? How are
Start
you?
living up to my contract before I get a pink slip, man.
It's
Wait, you guys got paid? What?
Wait a minute.
No. We're just kidding, Sam. We're just kidding, Sam.
Oh, okay.
We do this strictly for fun, bro.
Yeah.
For fun.
Yeah.
Don't ask Dan any questions, bro. Don't ask Dan
Right.
any questions.
Oh, I won't. It's fine.
Scott,
I was thinking. Sorry,
I didn't know you were a hooper,
thing.
Scott. But I mean,
Right.
Scott, you're a hooper.
I didn't know I was this good either to be a Hall of Famer. So to be honest with you, no. In high school, you just, when I was a little kid, I played in the youth basketball travel league, and the itch just started. And I decided to do it in high school. And, sure enough, I got on the varsity team, and the rest
1,000 points, Scott. That's nothing to sniff at.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not, to be honest with you, but I don't look at myself
Props,
as
man.
a really good basketball player. I look at myself as
A really
somebody
old
that-
man, because that's what we look at you like too. So
Don't be humble, bro. Don't be humble. It's okay
Keith
to
had
brag, bro.
Me and Keith had the Geritol cake at the nursing home today, so
Nice,
we
did
celebrated.
they bring the cake out and said, "Mr. Hall of Fame" at the nursing home? Did they throw you a party, or are they planning a party for you?
Well, they threw us a party. They gave us some Geritol cake and V8 tomato
Yeah,
juice. So we were all set.
All the
Are they
V8
giving
juice
you
you
are
can
they
drink,
giving you
make
a
sure you can
second?
drink.
You gonna get a second sponge bath?
I
Hall
am.
of
That's
Famer now?
part of it. I get an extra
Yeah.
sponge bath, and I the room all day tomorrow.
Oh man. Scott, no, in all seriousness, we're all super proud of you. That's, I mean, it's
Yeah,
something
man. Props, man.
we kid and
Congratulations,
joke,
Today
bro.
was probably
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
other than getting married to my wife. Obviously, today was probably one of the coolest days I've had.
She's
So
not.
what are they,
watching.
what's the plan, Scott? Are they gonna bring you back home and what do they do there?
They're gonna roll me out in the wheelchair. No, one of the players that played with me will induct me into the Hall of Fame, and I'll just give like a 3-minute speech, which I'm terrible at, but I'm gonna give.
They're gonna hang your jersey in the rafter, Scott.
No,
SJ
they're not
Cobe
gonna
won
do
on the
that.
jersey. SJ
No,
Cobe won on the jersey.
They have a banner. They have a banner as you enter the. When I played, and now the gym is different. They built
obviously they probably got 4 different schools.
Yeah, obviously. So they have a banner up that has all the Hall of Famers. So that'll be put up in the gym when the induction ceremony happens. It's late in August. They haven't nailed down a date yet. So
yeah, we need pictures, man, or a video or something, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'll shoot a live stream.
We're all proud of our boy here, man. So we want to be able to experience it a little bit ourselves too, man.
It's a cool feeling.
It's awesome, really bro. It's awesome.
To be recognized as one of the best. So
you'll always be a Hall of Fame in my book, Scott.
Absolutely, man.
I hope so.
This just validates.
Dan, please come up with some money, would you please? I'm just kidding.
Shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, Dan.
Shout out to Dan. Yeah, Dan DM'd me today and said some nice things to me, so I'm very happy.
Scott, speaking of Hall of Famers, your own Hall of Fame coach from your own team, it's reported if he doesn't win this year, he could be out the door. You and Bill could be sharing the nursing home together. I think his nursing home is probably going to be a lot nicer than the one you're in. But what's your thoughts there?
I've been saying for years, Bill Belichick, the GM, needs to be fired, and Bill Belichick, the coach, needs to stay. And I think that report suggests that he may lose his job. I think you're talking about the player personnel type of job that he does. I think he's gonna lose that, and I think he's gonna stay on as head coach. He's done himself no favors as a GM. No favors.
The draft picks are awful.
Terrible. Yeah. Terrible. I mean, look at N'Keal Harry. Lawrence Maroney was good for half a season when he drafted him, and then he was trash after that. He hasn't really had a good draft since maybe the mid 2005, 2006, somewhere in that area. So, he trades these picks away, he trades down. I mean, we all know what he does. He when the Atlanta Falcons were going to select Julio, the year that Julio came out, they called Belichick and asked and Belichick was like, don't draft him. Don't draft a wide receiver that early. And look what Julio did in Atlanta. So, he's lost a little bit off the curveball in terms of
is he so I mean that way worked for so long, right? When they had Tom Brady and they had the grocery bag wide receivers and this and that.
Yep.
The game is not working there. And now we're year 3 away now from Tom Brady being gone. And is it year 3, right? Or year 4?
Year 4. It's year 4.
Year 4. This is going into the 4th season. Going into
year 4, like now it looks like it was Tom Brady, right? And not Bill. I think it was a great marriage, but will he give up that GM job and just be the coach? I don't know if he will. I think there's this thing that's called pride, and there's a great scene in Pulp Fiction where he said that's pride fucking with you, and sometimes you got to say fuck pride.
Yeah.
So
I 1,000% agree with you, Nick. I think he's gonna go screaming and crying and whatever into the night when Kraft comes to him after they go 7-10 this year and say, hey, Bill, it's time for you to give up the responsibilities of being the GM and just focus on being the coach. I don't think he's going to like it. That's why he loves New England, because Kraft has given him this full reign, but he hasn't done anything in the last 4 years. Everybody says, oh, last year.
They haven't really done anything. They haven't won a playoff game in 5 years, right?
Exactly. The co-offensive coordinators they have last year, I don't know what he was thinking with Joe Judge and Patricia. That was a failure. The first year, with Mac Jones was okay, wasn't great. And then he started to play around with Mac Jones' psyche. And this is a young quarterback. What are you doing with him? What are you doing?
Do you think that was a Robert Kraft pick, or did he want Mac Jones?
Kraft wanted Mac Jones. Kraft knew they needed a quarterback.
So maybe that was just Bill's way of saying showing his displeasure with that pick.
Yeah, because good old Zappy. How many times has Belichick drafted a skill player in the first round in his 22 years in New England?
Right.
Maybe 4 or 5 times. So he would rather go cornerback, guard, on the line someplace. But
Cole Strange.
Yeah. I mean, he might have wanted to go with a more veteran quarterback to kind of lead his team. Not necessarily a Derek Carr or somebody like that. Maybe he wanted to go after Stidham and get Stidham back or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? But it almost felt like New England had no choice but to take Mac Jones because he happened to fall to them at that spot, and I think he felt because he sucks.
Johnny, Mac Jones was the 49ers wanted Mac Jones at one point. He was going to go to 3. And they at the last minute they went Trey Lance. Like it was that draft day going into the draft day.
They realized that it's Mac Jones. You know what I'm saying?
If you remember when Garoppolo was drafted, that's who Belichick wanted to take over. It was Garoppolo for Brady. Then they drafted Stidham, and all the talk up here with Belichick was Stidham's the next guy. He's going to be a really good quarterback. What has Stidham done in his NFL career to suggest that? Nothing.
Well, he was, to your
he
point,
played okay those couple games for the Raiders.
I thought he did okay. Yeah,
he wanted Jimmy G to start. He was willing to kick Tom Brady to the curb. He was willing to trade Tom Brady
to the 49ers. Yeah.
And that was the big riff, right? Like that started the breaks and the cracks of the Belichick Brady relationship. Yeah. Scott, let me ask you this before we bring in our guest, our first guest of the night. I don't think they're going to be very good. And from what we've talked about on previous shows, you don't either. No. If he is fired, who the hell's next over there? And it's almost a reclamation project, right? Like you have to rebuild this thing from the ground up almost.
Yeah. So the talk has been either Gerard Mayo, who, did not interview any place else in the offseason because he must have got some kind of assurances that he'd be the next guy, which is okay in my book, if it's Gerard Mayo. Or the guy you just brought in, an offensive coordinator who has the head coaching experience in Bill O'Brien. One of those two guys I would think is going to be the next guy. So, but here's the reason why. Bob Kraft and Tom Brady have this really close relationship. I mean, it's solid. And I think Belichick went to Kraft and said, hey, it's time to move on from Tom. We've had our run. It's time to go. And Kraft was like, not a chance. And Kraft won out because he's the owner. So that's why Brady did not go.
That was in the book. Scott. They had a big ass dinner, and then Tom Brady's wife, Giselle, was like, "Nah, Tom is staying," and this and that, and it was there's a whole book. I can't remember who wrote it, but very detailed in that situation about the cracks that began to lie.
And that's where the cracks exactly started when I think Kraft told Brady at that and Giselle at the dinner, look, Bill wants to move on from you. He's ready to put Stidham in. He's ready to put Garoppolo in, whoever it was at the time. And I think that's where the cracks in the armor started with both of these guys when that dinner happened.
I read about it in a Matt Miller article, and they talked about how he started to Jim's on. Jim
yeah.
And he talked about how like the 49ers were in the office and all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm not trading Garoppolo, but would you like Tom Brady? And the 49ers were like, what? Like they couldn't believe it and stuff like that.
Jim, real quick, Jim wants to know who will be longer coach, Pop or Bill. It's Pop because he just put Pop extension.
And he's got the whole Wimbayana and this whole thing. Everybody's all excited about it. So he's rejuvenated now. He's got this stud kid that he's going to get to groom and build a team around. So Pop is going to stick around as long as he possibly can. What up, Jim?
Jim?
That was a good question.
Bill's got 3 years tops left. That's it.
Scott, is it possible? I don't have like this long range knowledge, but I do know that Kraft has had like articles written about him where it's like craft work and all these things, that like feed into what an awesome
he saved them, right, Scott, from moving.
Right.
He did. Yes, he did. They were going to move to St. Louis, I want to say, when James Bush Orthwein was the owner, and Kraft came in at the last minute and made him a blow-away offer that Orthwein could not refuse. And he saved the Patriots from here. And then there's been talk, in the years, they were going to move to Rhode Island. And they came up with a new stadium. Rhode Island. That's because when these teams come into to New England, they land in Providence. So he wanted to build a stadium down in Providence, close proximity to everything. And then they were going to put a mall and a movie theater and all this stuff up. That and the state of Massachusetts said, "Whoa, wait a minute, we don't want you moving. We'll build your new stadium. You'll get all the bells and whistles, whatever you want, you got." So that's how he got saved from moving to Rhode Island. So there's been 2 or 3 times when the Patriots have been saved from moving out of New England, out of Massachusetts.
Scott, but my question is there like just zero chance that he just fires him outright, even after like is he going to put up with a really bad season and just say?
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does, Sam.
I think for all that Belichick, for all the successes that Belichick and the Patriots have had here in New England, I can't see him firing him totally. I can see him just moving on from the GM position and saying, okay, Bill, you're going to concentrate on being the head coach. We're going to give you the players. We're going to give you the talent. We're going to make one more run at this. And then that's going to be it. He wants to break Schuler's record. He wants to break Schuler's record.
I don't think
that's why he's sticking around.
I don't think Bill wants to do that, just be the coach anymore. But we'll find out. I mean, I think
that's what makes me wonder. Does Kraft know that, and he's going to present it to him like that, just to not look like the bad guy, knowing that Bill's not going to want to take that, and maybe Bill will walk away, and then Robert Kraft doesn't look like the bad guy. Like, hey, I tried to keep him as a coach, but
Robert Kraft is the one thing with Kraft that you can say is he's very loyal to guys like a Brady, like a Brewski, like a Mayo, like all these guys. So he's going to be loyal to Bill because Bill Belichick has brought all this championship stuff to New England. So he's going to be loyal to him to the end. But if Belichick says, if I'm not both, I'm walking away, then Kraft might just let him walk away and say, okay, Bill, this is what you wanted. Out the door you go. Let's see if you go. He'll be scooped up in a minute, but I think he needs to have full control of the organization. And I don't think he's going to have that in New England much longer. So
I don't either, and it'll be interesting. So and now, what for you done? Late me league. That's the game of the NFL. Yeah. I don't want to keep our guests waiting any longer. Johnny, go ahead and get this ad read, and we'll bring in our guest.
All right, people. I got to let you know about our friends at Underdog, the daily fantasy app. You can download the app on your phone or on whatever device you have, or you can go to underdog.com. Make sure you use the promo code LTS, and they will match you up to $100. They have the best ball drafts of all the sports. They have all the daily fantasy drafts that you can possibly think of. Like I said, you can either download the app on your phone or any device you have, or you can go to underdog.com. Make sure you use the promo code LTS, and they will match you a deposit up to $100. So definitely check it out. That that helps us out a lot. So hit Underdog up, and like I said, get all your fantasy stuff going. And what better time to talk about fantasy than our next guy right here?
That's right, Johnny. You can't say fantasy and not say this guy's name. It's in his dang Twitter handle, in fact. You can catch him right here on the Let's Talk Sports Network on about 8 different shows. You can catch him on Twitter. He's writing for Rotoballer. He's writing for this network. He's writing for this. But what he's not doing, boys, he's not beating your boy Bodkins when the championship's on the line. But hey, give it up anyway for third place of the LTS Fantasy League. My brother from another mother, Mr. Ryan Larrison.
Nick, I think Tanner said we're supposed to be nice to our guests.
That is being nice. That's
the nicest thing he's ever said to me.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind.
What up, Ryan? What up?
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on. Nick, how much did it cost you to get that child's replica belt to just snap on your shoulder there?
Hey, baby.
I ain't gonna front. I want me one of those.
It's a Christmas present, Ryan. Mom said,
I know you're a big guy, but that looks. I mean, it looks like this big in your hand. I know those titles are bigger. I got replicas downstairs.
Your mom sent it to me for a Christmas present. Mom sent it to me for a Christmas present. It's fantasy champ, baby.
Hey, she's as competitive as I am. There ain't no way she's sending anybody else.
That's right. That's our first mom joke of the day, right there.
Let me ask you something. You guys would just felt bad for Nick and allowed him to win so he'd have his glory. This year there's a cash prize going on supposedly. So Nick's not sniffing the championship this year, correct?
Hey, we'll see. I know everybody's gonna be gunning for me because that's just what happens when you're at the top of the mountain.
Oh, you've got a lot of people gunning for you for sure this year. So.
Ryan, welcome. Making your debut on the Let's Talk Sports show, so we appreciate it.
Damn time.
Yes, about damn time.
I know you're fitting us into your busy schedule there, Ryan.
Yeah, listen, man, I've wanted to be on here for a while, so I'm happy to finally be on here. I got all the children in bed. They're asleep. So I've got all the time in the world to actually be able to sit down and talk some fantasy football with you guys.
How much melatonin did you give all 10 of those kids?
All of them except the 12-year-old got at least 1 milligram melatonin.
Okay.
No joke.
I just rub whiskey on Jack Daniel's whiskey on my toddler's gums.
That leaves less whiskey for me.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
You're right. You're right.
I feel bad for Ryan, and this is how I feel bad. You see, on your Twitter feed, you see all these people in round 19 and 20 of the Scott Fish Bowl. I haven't even drafted. I draft Saturday live in Boston. Poor Ryan. He's in the 5th and 6th round of the Fish Bowl, and he might not end until like September 1st in this draft. So
I mean, the season already started, huh, Ryan?
I haven't made a pick today. I haven't made a pick all day. My last pick was at like 5 o'clock last night, and then I got told that Chris Olave wasn't.
And Scott, you haven't even started picking yet.
We live draft Saturday in Boston. What the live drafts do is they draft the first 10 rounds, and then we draft the rest online. But last year when I did it was the first year of the live Scott Fish Bowl drafts. We were done like about 4 days after we live drafted because everybody just wanted to draft, their teams as fast as they could. But poor Ryan had a slow draft, and it's a slow draft.
Slow is a nice way to put that. Army.
I guess there's good and bad to that. There's good because you have time to kind of really think about it, but at the same time, it could be bad because you'll start second guessing yourself on what you do.
When you're drafting a slow draft like this, completely like this, it's like you forget about it, and all of a sudden you get this notification. Oh, I'm on the clock. I gotta go make a pick.
Let's pick that big beautiful brain of yours. We're gonna start off with some positions. I just want you to give me like 3 guys that you're higher than and 3 guys that you're lower in, and then we're gonna let Mr. Hall of Fame Scott Cobe, him kind of rebuttal and give his objections, and then we're gonna do a little. I'm going to pick 3 guys in a scenario, and I want you to give me those 3 here. So let's start at the wide receiver. The wide receiver position seems to have moved past the running back position as the most important position. Who are 3 guys that you are higher on than everybody else, and who are 3 guys that you're lower on? Hi, Tanner, why aren't you on the show? First of all, get time to type in the comments.
Wow. Yeah, you're not in control here, Tanner. It's our time now.
Putting the important stuff in the comments at least, though. So let's start. I mean, I've written so many articles about the guy. I feel like I have to. I don't know if I'm technically higher on him than everybody else, but I've got him inside my top 10. Garrett Wilson, man. Garrett Wilson with Aaron Rodgers. Nick, you know well about what Aaron Rodgers can do with an actual top-tier wide receiver. I'm looking at you, Alan Lazard, who screwed up everybody last season. Garrett Wilson with Aaron Rodgers, with what he was able to do last year, it was under 55% of his passes were actually catchable, which was just an astounding stat that stuck out to me when I was going over all this stuff. Garrett Wilson is going to be an absolute beast this year. He only caught 4 touchdowns last season. He's going to, if he catches 10 to 12, nobody's going to be shocked at this point with Rodgers throwing him the ball. This could be what we saw when Devontae Adams started to break out early in his career. This is what's going to happen with Garrett Wilson. He's an easy top 10. You can leave your draft with him as your wide receiver 1. You're not going to be upset. But now I'm starting to see him go in the late first round, so I think people are starting to catch up on him. So if you want Garrett Wilson, you're going to have to pay the price. But I think he's absolutely worth the price. I don't know what you guys think about him, but I'm leaving drafts with him as my wide receiver 1 if I'm going late in the first round, early in the second round, and I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on who else is available when you pick there. But yeah, you can't lose with him, especially
I think
like you mentioned with having Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. He's just going to enhance that kid.
He won Rookie of the Year with freaking.
He won Rookie of the Year because Breece Hall got hurt, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's the only reason why he won Rookie of the Year. And I like Garrett Wilson, but let's hold off there because Breece Hall, that dude is special, bro. I hope he comes back healthy, even though he's on the Jets or whatever. But that kid has he's special in my opinion, Breece Hall. But no, I like Wilson.
Yeah, he's going in front of Devontae Adams where he wasn't early in the draft season in April and May. He should go in front of Devontae Adams.
Well, because we don't know who's throwing Devontae the ball, right?
That's the thing. he was going around the Stephon Diggs range early in the offseason because nobody knew what was going on with Diggs. But I agree with Ryan. I think if you get him late first, early second, he's your number one receiver. He's going to get 150, 160 targets this year. Easily, I think. So,
all right,
Yeah, he about touched 140 last year.
Who's another wide receiver you like more than everybody else?
Well, I got to highlight him because we have so many 49ers Faithfuls fans in the LTS community.
No, you don't.
No,
Don't let the peer pressure get to you, man.
I
Paul ain't gonna come after you, bro.
just do what I do. Just pretend they don't exist, and move on with your life.
Hey, listen, I love Brandon Ayuk. I've got him ranked higher than Debo.
Yeah.
I've got him inside my top
I
20.
do
I
too.
think Brandon Ayuk,
Yeah.
he finished top 15 last year. He's going to finish top 20 again this year. He is the best pure receiver on San Francisco, and he's going to prove it again this year. He's finally out of Shanahan's doghouse. We don't need to worry about that crap where Shanahan's sitting him because he doesn't like the way that Ayuk practices, whatever the hell that means. Get over it. Like, Ayuk he's a dominator when he's on the field. He's going to have a quarterback in Brock Purdy that's going to get him the ball. I'm not worried about what is going to happen with San Francisco. Everyone's like, well, now we're worried about Christian McCaffrey being there full-time the entire season. Is that going to affect it? The only thing that happens to these wide receivers when they get more people around them is it gets a lot harder for opposing defenses to cover them. So I'm not worried about, oh, my God, Christian McCaffrey's there. He's taking away coverage. That's only good for Brandon Ayuk. So I'm not worried about that. Brandon Ayuk is going to be perfectly fine. So
are you at all worried about who's throwing him the ball?
No, even if it's say it's Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, he's played with crappy quarterbacks already in his career.
Facts.
This is the DJ Moore effect, right? Like DJ Moore playing with Justin Fields, that's probably DJ Moore's best quarterback of his career. And as much as we like Justin Fields as a runner, do we all love him as a passer yet? That hasn't been proven yet. But he's getting an upgrade technically moving into 2023. So I'm not worried about it. I love Ayuk. He's outside the top 30, top 35 for a lot of rankers. I've got him at number 20. I think he's going to absolutely dominate this year. And you're going to get one hell of I think he's going late 7th, early 8th is where I usually see him drafted. I've seen him go later. You can get him later. But at that price, he's going as your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. And he's going to give you top 24 production for most of the season, in my opinion. So I'm not worried about that. I think he's a steal where he's going right now.
So when I did my initial rankings, which came out way before OTAs, I had Ayuk at 37. Right now, I have him at 16. Everything out of
you're even higher than me.
Yeah, everything out of 49ers camp has been so glowing about this kid and he's going into his 3rd year, and this is where wide receivers usually start their ascent up the charts in the NFL. I think he's gonna be miles ahead of Debo this year. Debo's way overrated, way overdrafted this year. So I'm with Ryan. I'm on the Brandon Ayuk train. I think he's gonna have a phenomenal year this year.
Yeah, I like Ayuk.
Who's your last wide receiver that you got rated high?
I hate it because, well, actually, you know what? I love it because Tanner's not here, so he doesn't get to do victory laps while I talk about him. Kadarius Toney, guys. Kadarius Toney.
Well, hold on.
I thought there was some drama going on or something.
There's some weird drama going on there. What is going on there?
Do you guys really care about that? You going to care about that in 3 weeks? Are you
when
going to
it
care
comes
about
to
that
him, when it comes to him and his, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
With all the shenanigans and stuff that he did at the Giants, that would worry me a little bit.
I'm with Johnny. I'm a little worried.
And with Andy Reid, he could kind of rein him in.
Here's the difference,
but
he doesn't have
you never know, man.
White Michael Vick, who can't throw as well as Michael Vick in the last few years of his career, throwing him the ball. He's going to be perfectly fine in Kansas City. Dude, the highs of what Kadarius Toney could reach are top 12 highs. Yeah. And you're able to get him at a price where you're paying 9th, 10th round value for a guy that can give you top 12 production. I understand that, last year, the top receiver for Kansas City for fantasy purposes was Juju. He didn't even finish inside the top 36. But all that team has done is step backwards in terms of additions to the wide receiver room. That only means good things for Kadarius Toney. He is the most talented wide receiver on that roster, bar none. The only problem is his injury history. And I understand that sucks. But when you've only got to pay a near double-digit round price for the guy who can give you top 12 production, I don't think there's anybody going that late right now that could finish as high as Tony could potentially finish. So he's on every single one of my best ball teams. I think it's 33 best ball leagues now. I have him on every single best ball team so far, and I've gotten him past round 7 in every single best ball draft. And he's going higher in those drafts because you're looking for guys who can spike and give you 20-plus point weeks. So I'm all in. Pay the price for him. He's not going to raise too much in drafts right now. Even if they say he's the best receiver in camp, everyone's still going to – there's still Sky Moore truthers out there. There's Justin Ross truthers out there.
And you got Travis Kelce that'll take some targets away too. So
exactly. Everyone wants Kelce, and that's perfectly fine. Where he's going makes total sense. Give me the guy who's going 9 rounds later than Kelce, and I'll take the value on that. Hooked up with the best quarterback in the NFL all day long.
Well, here's the best
and a
part
coach
about,
like that too, man.
Here's the best part about Tony. When back 10 years ago, if you draft him in the 9th round, he was probably your 3rd wide receiver. Nowadays, if you draft him in the 9th or 10th round, he could be your wide receiver 4 or 5. So for that price, I'm taking a shot at him. And you know what? If he gets injured or he doesn't pan out, you never start him. You just keep him on your bench. You never start him or you release him. One of the two. But at that cost, I'm all in on Tony because if he does go off, you've got a guy that's an insane value for you in the draft in round 9 or 10. So I'm all in on Tony. I agree with Ryan.
So, hey, Ryan, before we ask you the bottom 3, we've had a debate here for the last 3 weeks or so plus on a one. D-Hop. Mr. Third Down there thinks that D-Hop has passed his prime, won't get to 1,000 yards. Doesn't matter what team he goes to. Says he's a wide receiver 2 at best. What's your thoughts on a one DeAndre Hopkins? And what if he went to the Chiefs, which could be possible?
It's possible.
Well, right now it's looking like he's going to be your new wide receiver 1, man. So why are you so down on the guy? Because he might be going to the Titans. And if he goes to the Titans for fantasy –
Let's look at it, okay? Shall we? I've had Andre Johnson on my team who didn't work out, Randy Moss on my team that didn't work out. Every 30-plus wide receiver I put on my team has not worked out, and we have overpaid them. So, yeah, I'm a little wary. I am a little wary of it.
That explains a lot, Sam. That explains a lot.
So,
hey, listen.
Yeah.
I'll never discredit that because you're 100% right. That was actually brought up on a show that I was listening to earlier today. Where like it's just Tennessee's the older wide receiver
That's where they go to die. That's just where they go to die. So
quarterbacks go to Cleveland to die, and wide receivers
running backs go to Arizona, and
wide
receivers go to Tennessee.
Hey, easy on James Conner there.
Hey, look, it is not absolutely insane, despite what these yahoos say. It's not insane to think that his production would go down.
If your quarterback was Ryan Tannehill or anybody else, it's not insane that you might take a step back in your career.
Yeah.
But I think if he lands in Tennessee, I would say he's a top 36 wide receiver. You can use him as a wide receiver 3 flex.
You're not high on Traylon Burks at all? He looks pretty good at camp.
Here's my problem. I love Burks and I love Chig, especially considering where they're being taken in drafts right now.
Chig will have the highest fantasy points on the Titans. I highly believe that.
He is my most drafted tight end in best ball right now, with Greg Dulcich being a very close second because I can get those guys in super late rounds. The show that we just did earlier today, our fantasy show on LTS, Chig and Dulcich were the 2 guys that Matt and I both highlighted, as late round targets for tight end. If you want to wait on the position, those are guys that you go for. Chig is that high-end type of guy where you're looking for those big-time spike weeks, while Dulcich should assume a pretty decent target share to where he's going to be more consistent every single week, just won't have the same spikes. But in terms of Burks never really got a fair shake last year. When he was actually fully healthy, he's playing with Malik Willis, who can't complete like 40% of his friggin' passes. And then the shell of Josh Dobbs, which I don't even know what good Josh Dobbs looks like. Like, I don't know what that is. So,
is there such a thing as good Josh Dobbs? That's the
exactly. Is there a good Josh Dobbs? I mean, he's been in the NFL for a long time. He's got to be good at something.
And that hurts me as a UT fan, but it's true.
Whether Hopkins goes to Tennessee or not, I'm all in on Traylon Burks this year. I think he's going to be phenomenal this year with Ryan Tannehill. I just think he's going to have a great year.
I will tell you this. Everything I've seen from this kid down here, he's changed his body. He looks great. He's out there. Last year, he was dealing with the asthma issue. He's out there all the time. He's one of the first in the building. He's working hard. He's ready to roll.
I like him. The one thing that scares me is Ryan Tannehill.
So you see, but to me, I'm encouraged by Tannehill because I saw what crap happened last year in Tennessee. I want Tannehill to start all 17 games this year.
Because Tannehill's proven that he can carry. He carried AJ Brown, So
Ryan Tannehill carried AJ Brown.
What I mean is, like, he showed that he can
sound like Tanner now.
He got the ball.
What I mean by that is he's shown that he can carry a wide receiver relevant person. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by that.
Well, he can make one or two throws in a game.
Yes, he can support a wide receiver in fantasy purposes.
Well, I'm not saying he's a difference maker, are you?
No.
Johnny, look at it this way. Is Tannehill a top 10 quarterback? No. But can he support one really good wide receiver?
Yes, because he's got one of the best running backs in the world behind him, so he doesn't have to throw us off and into play action more effective. Which is the best thing that Ryan Tannehill can do is the play action where saying he's only going to have that one or two reads and he could throw the ball. So
this is what it comes down to for me. It is going to be that Tim Kelly offense. Okay. Like when he had Deshaun Watson, he had a decent running back, not even a great running back. He did good. The play action pass was working. It did really well. When Arthur Smith was here, he ran the play action almost exclusively in the pass game and whatnot. Yeah. Now listen, I've been on the show and said I still don't think the Titans are going to have a good year, and I'll stand by that. But if they have any success this year, it is because Tim Kelly has got the pass game going. That is the only way they will be good this year.
Well, if you get D-Hop, do you think you can challenge the Jags?
No, I don't think D-Hop changes it very much. I do think we split with the Jags, but I don't think D-Hop is going to move that needle exponentially. Now, this is the part where I hope I'm wrong. And like D-Hop comes in and he gets 1,000 yards, and I have to end up, drinking more mayo in my coffee to make Nick happy. I don't know.
Yep, pretty much. So Ryan, who give me your wide receiver that you are down on?
So does a guy at the back end of the top 24 count? Because so many people are really high on DK Metcalf. And if you look at what DK Metcalf did last year, it was like 2 really good spike weeks and absolutely no production inside the top 24 besides that. And the only reason he finished where he finished is because he played all 17 games. So it's a war of attrition type thing. He's finding a way to score a bunch of fantasy points because he played 17 games compared to the guy that played 13. So it's one of those things where you really got to look at like points per game and their average per game stats and stuff like that. And I was not impressed with Metcalf. And now you add Jackson Smith and Jigba. You have Tyler Lockett. You've got Noah Fant. You've got Will Dissly. You add a pass catching running back and Zach Charbonnet. People got him inside their top 15. I don't want anything to do with DK Metcalf as, let alone my wide receiver 1. Even as my wide receiver 2, I'm not thrilled about that when you've got all these targets that are getting the ball spread around an offense that Geno Smith is leading, where we saw last year he'll spread the ball around. Add another weapon like JSN, it's going to get spread around even more. So where he's going in like the 3rd, maybe sometimes 4th round I've seen him go, I want absolutely nothing to do with that. That's way too high of a price with some of the other guys that are going around him.
I agree. I opened up with Metcalf at 21 in my initial rankings. Tyler Lockett's the number 1 wide receiver in Seattle. Tyler Lockett, but that's Geno Smith's makeup fits Tyler Lockett a whole lot better than it does DK Metcalf. So Tyler Lockett is going to continue to get targeted over and over and over again, and DK Metcalf's going to get 6 to 8 because he's just that game-breaking wide receiver that if he catches the ball, he could take it 70 yards to the house. But To me, Tyler Lockett, I've been a Tyler Lockett guy for years, and I continue to be. When everybody else is drafting Metcalf, go ahead in the 3rd round. I'll take Tyler Lockett in the 6th or 7th round and be perfectly happy with that. So,
yeah, Tyler Lockett is the perfect security blanket for Geno as well, too, man.
Yeah. And they got in Bigma, like Ryan said. Ryan, who's your second wide receiver that you're fading?
Ooh, that's a good question. See, putting on the spot, I'm trying to think of some of these guys where they're being ranked right now compared to where I have them ranked. Let's go. Oh, I know exactly who to pick on. Michael Pittman. Man, dude. Michael Pittman. So many people were in on Michael Pittman last year, and I totally understand it. I was into Alec Pierce a little bit more because Matt Ryan, for the last 5 years of his career in Atlanta, did nothing but target his wide receiver too, especially in the end zone. He threw.
I wish he had stayed. I wish he had stayed.
He threw 36 touchdowns to his wide receiver 2, and his wide receiver 1 only caught 21 within the last 5 years of his career in Atlanta. That just tells you right there he didn't want to challenge the top corner on the opposing defense. He was too scared to do it at that point of his career. So I was an Alec Pierce guy. And, Pittman had the most targets last year without finishing and the lowest fantasy finish with someone who had the highest target share. Pretty much ever. And now he's getting a rookie quarterback, who I think can turn into something, especially with Shane Steichen at the helm. But he completed, I think it was 53% of his passes in college. It was below 55% in his entire college career. And now
they're saying he doesn't look good right now either. They're saying he's not lighting the world on fire.
He's bouncing balls off the ground 5 yards out.
What are we doing here with this Michael Pittman around that top 24? I've got him at 42. I want nothing to do with this guy.
That's a big fade.
I want nothing to do with him. He is a fantasy landmine, in my opinion. Will he get 125, 130 targets? Probably, because there's absolutely nobody else there that he's going to target. Right. But that's not going to mean anything when he's probably catching 55% of those targets. So he catches, 65 to 70 balls, 2-3 touchdowns, and gets 800 yards. That's nowhere near where he's being drafted right now. Don't draft Michael Pittman. It's not a knock on Pittman as a receiver. I think as a receiver, he's fine. It's the situation he's in. Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Absolutely no thank you with a guy who completed 52% of his passes in college. I'll take the under on that one there.
Do you think like Mo Alley Cox or somebody would be good because a young quarterback safety blanket's a tight end?
So the tight end that I've been hearing about, and I can speak on this because Shane Steichen was the OC for Philadelphia for a couple of years now, and seeing his offense, he puts one guy in a position at tight end to succeed, and the rest of the guys either go out there to run block or they go out there to supplement a couple of snaps, give the guy a water break, basically. They like Jelani Woods. Jelani Woods has been taking the most reps. And
he's 6'6". He's a huge dude. Jelani Woods. Massive.
Well, and Mo Alley Cox is close to 7 foot. These guys are big dudes. But Jelani Woods he reminds me the most of Dallas Goedert in that tight end room compared to the rest of the guys that are there. And if you haven't paid attention to Indy the past 3-4 years, even when Jack Doyle was there a couple years ago, this tight end room rotated a teenage girl changing her underwear, man. It's 3-4 times a day. They just rotate every other snap, it feels like. So
Ryan is bringing it, boy.
I'm telling you, man.
My goodness.
It's going to be a change in offensive mindset, and if you need to pay attention, if Woods is the guy, he's going as tight end 32 right now in drafts, I think, and that's in drafts that go past 15 rounds. He's undrafted in normal drafts. That's a guy that you need to pay attention to, if any, out of the Colts tight ends. Any Colt this year, the only Colt I'm drafting is JT. There is no other Colt that I'm drafting. I think Richardson's going in the 11th round right now. Sorry, I'll take Rodgers in the 10th or Geno in the 13th and leave Richardson for somebody else.
Yep. So it's not – I agree with Ryan 100% on Pittman. I was in on him last year. I'm way off on him this year. It's not the talent and it's not the guy as a wide receiver. It's the quarterback he's got. And if you've heard reports out of Indianapolis, he's throwing it to the ground. He's throwing it 5 feet over their heads. He's not a good quarterback. I don't know what Indianapolis was thinking about drafting him, but he's not a good quarterback.
And I don't think he'll ever be a good quarterback.
I'll tell you what they were thinking. They thought they had poor man's Jalen Hurts. They think they have a guy who can, continue to improve over the next couple of years under Steichen. And they're going to find out real quick, is that actually going to be a thing or not? Because you can't draft a guy who played so little in college and completed such a low percentage of his passes and expect them to step in day one with only Michael Pittman as a really reliable receiver and think that you're going to succeed, especially with the Jaguars on the upswing. The Titans are still a good team. And then you've got Houston, who I think is on the upswing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they ought to be.
That's the thing about when Jalen had that big year last year. It's like they went out and got AJ Brown. They had Devontae Smith. Like those two guys alone are better than any wide receiver on the Colts. They went out and added some pieces and have some nice weapons. Give us your last guy that you're fading at wide receiver.
Oh, let's dig into the doldrums a little bit and see if I can find any on this list. I'm just trying to find people that
Ryan, can I give you one before you go?
Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
What about Mike Evans?
So I got Mike Evans outside my top 36. So I guess we could go with him because I would assume that most people have him at least as a top 36 wide receiver. I'm not in on the Bucs. I don't think Baker Mayfield's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. There's quarterbacks that are sitting as backups right now that could do better than Baker Mayfield as a starter. So if you draft a guy from Tampa Bay, I think the guy that you take the shot on is Godwin. You take the short yardage reception guy in Godwin because Baker's never been an accurate passer downfield. Evans will be okay. He'll have his spike weeks. He's a better best ball pick, but this might be the year where the 1,000 yards doesn't happen, and I don't think anybody would be shocked if he didn't hit that 1,000-yard mark for the first time in his entire career. And that's a shame, too, because this team is loaded with wide receiver talent. Russell Gage as your 3 is awesome.
That's right.
But they got Baker freaking Mayfield out there.
I was about to say. Little man syndrome out there.
I had Mike Evans at 31 in my initial ranks. I have him at 47 right now. I'm out.
Holy crap, Scott!
Where do you guys have Godwin? Where do you have Godwin?
I've got him inside my top 36. Let me see right here. Yeah, I've got Godwin at 32 in front of Dotson, 2 spots ahead of Treylon Burks, which even now, looking at that in my projections, they're only 2 points apart. So I probably just go with the upside of Burks in that scenario. You know what I mean?
I have him at 27. Godwin at 27. It's the quarterback. What has Baker Mayfield shown you in his career that has led you to believe that he could support 2 wide receivers? He doesn't throw a good deep
He can
ball.
run one out of town really good.
Yeah. Chris Godwin's in a
he wakes up feeling dangerous, Scott. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's dangerous to Mike Evans this year. Chris Godwin is the guy that's going to get targeted time and time again. Why? Because he's the short target for him and Kate Otten. He's the short target for Baker Mayfield that Baker Mayfield can do 3 steps, get on his back foot, and throw it real quick, and Godwin will catch the ball. So I love Godwin. I'm just way out on Mike Evans this year. I mean, it's really bad with him, I think.
Man,
I agree with
even
Ryan.
further than me. I thought I was low on the guy. Scott took him, held him up like this, and just cherry bombed him off the cliff, man.
Yep.
Good Lord.
Yep, I did.
Gave him the south side of heaven choke slam.
You can have Mike Evans in the 5th and 6th round. Go ahead, take him. I'm not touching him. I agree with Ryan. I'd rather have Godwin this year.
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to give you guys 3 running backs here, and then we'll go kind of position by position. I want you guys just kind of rank them here. Who you got? So, Cam Akers, Damian Pierce, Alexander Madison.
So for me, I've got Madison and Akers are back to back. Madison is just ahead of him by literally 1 point. If I was staring it down in a draft, I'd probably go with Akers because I feel like the Vikings are going to pass the ball more than any team in the NFL this year. I feel like they're going to hit like 700, 750 pass attempts this year, which means that there's less carries for Alexander Madison. They're probably going to be a better offense than the Rams, but I'll take Cam Akers, who was the RB4 over the last 6 weeks of last season. But I mean, you're splitting hairs there, and then I'll put Damian Pierce at 3. You add Singletary. as much as I don't think Singletary's really good at anything in the NFL, he's going to take snaps away from Pierce. And Pierce was only, elite when he was the only show in town. And now you're going to see with a completely new regime, the offensive coordinator that was in San Francisco, that RB room rotates like a rotisserie chicken. So they're going to move pieces around, and he's not going to get 80% of the work like he did last year.
If McVay is a smart coach, like I think he is, their defense is Swiss cheese. Okay, so to protect their defense, they're gonna run Akers a lot because of how he finished, and to keep that defense off the field. So I think you're gonna see the Rams go away from the air attack and just run the ball with Akers. He's gonna get 20 carries almost every game, I think. So to me, I'm high on Akers as my number 2 running back. Pierce, I agree with. I just think there's too many mouths to feed, and I think with Stroud and Dalton Schultz coming in and Nico Collins, supposedly he's gonna have a good year this year. I think they're gonna throw it a little bit more than people think. That and Madison, I agree with Ryan. Cousins is gonna throw 750 times. Talk about Swiss cheese defense, Minnesota, totally. So game script's gonna dictate that Madison is not gonna get as much running work as you think, which in tune means that Ty Chandler is going to be in the game a little bit more than people would want and hope. So,
all right, I'm going to give you guys one more set of running backs. I like to call this the injury running backs, guys who are kind of coming back off of injuries. Alvin Kamara, Javonte Williams, and I just saw it. Where was he? Now I can't find him. Priest.
Brees.
Oh, that's an easy Brees.
No, Priest. Yeah. Oh, I can't find him. I just saw him. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, J.K. Dobbins. That's who it is.
So I think Dobbins is going to have a good year this year. I think he's second year off the ACL and MCL and all that other stuff. So I think he's going to have a good year. Javonte, everybody in Denver thinks he's going to be ready week 1. I'm not totally sold on that. I think his knee injury was about the same as Dobbins, if not a little bit worse. So I think I'm taking a hands-off approach with Javonte. And Kamara, I'm out on Kamara. I don't know what, if you saw him on the field last year, he did not perform well, and that was based on what the Saints were doing offensively. So I just think that I'm out, on Kamara. Derek Carr is not really a dump-down quarterback to running backs, I don't believe. I don't remember for a fact, but I don't think he really is. So I think that, Kamara and the suspension, if he's out 6 games and then their bye week, 7 out of your 13 weeks in fantasy are going to be Kamara-less. So to me, that means I'm out on him. So by process of elimination, Dobbins is the guy that I would go with out of those 3.
Yeah, Dobbins is for sure the one for me. He's a good 7-8 spots ahead of both of these guys. And then I've got Javonte and Kamara back to back with Javonte on top. Javonte, you got to watch. You got to watch the offseason program. He's saying he's going to be ready for training camp, not even week 1, training camp.
That's wild.
Which
is
wild. It's mind-boggling. Just watch what he does. We've seen guys like Adrian Peterson have these ACL tears where they come back and the next season they have 2,000 yards. So I'm not saying he's AP, but there's always the chance, and I think he's got an 8th round ADP right now. So if you're taking the shot on Javonte, at least it's not costing you an arm and a leg. So I don't hate it. Kamara, the problem is his situation, even though he pleads to a no contest, this is a situation that's never happened in the NFL before. And we all know how much Roger Goodell loves new situations with that, suspension hammer. It's coming down in some way. 1, 2, 4 games. We don't know. And then when he comes back, like Scott said, he was super inefficient last year. Do we think he gets more efficient with less touches? I mean, that's been his career. Jamal Williams is going to take a lot of those carries now that especially since he got the bag. And they said that Kendre Miller, they think that he can be what Alvin Kamara is. So lots of competition. I would go Dobbins, Javonte, and Kamara. But Dobbins is a good, real big tier above those guys, in my opinion. I think you can expect a top 24 season from Dobbins while you're hoping for at least a top 24 season from the other 2, and you might not get it.
And Nick, I'll say this about Javonte Williams: Sean Payton's the head coach. He's always been a 2 running back coach.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine got signed to a very good running back free agent deal.
Mm-hmm.
Samaje Perine would be a guy that I would target in the 8th, 9th, 10th round if he's there, because he's going to get not only run, he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. So I would target Samaje Perine more than I would target Javonte Williams.
All right, let's switch back to wide receivers. These guys are all wide receiver 2s on their own team. T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith.
Oh, this is the question.
Boy.
I was about to say, if you don't put
I
Waddle
love-
ahead of the other two, bro, then I don't understand what you're
With
thinking.
Devontae
bro.
Smith,
I tell you got to put T. Higgins above Waddle. Okay.
when
That's how I see
Devontae
it.
Smith got
Smoking.
AJ Brown, that he was a good wide receiver before AJ Brown showed up in town. But when he became the number 2 wide receiver for Philadelphia, that just unlocked him to have a huge year. I had Devontae in almost every draft that I had last year because I knew he was going to have a really good year. Waddle's going to have over 1,000 yards again. When 2 is the quarterback, Waddle and Tyreek ball out completely. And it shows if you go back and look at the box scores, you see it. T. Higgins is Joe Burrow's red zone target. When they get down inside the 20, he goes to T. Higgins almost all the time. When teams are playing zone, that's when T. Higgins becomes much more effective. So you got to look at the team that the teams that T. Higgins is playing and what they predominantly play on defense. Because if it's zone, T. Higgins is going to ball out. If it's man,
So Scott, you're saying take Devontae, then T. Higgins, then Waddle.
no Waddle, Devontae and Waddle are 1 and 1A for me. T. Higgins is 2. So I'd be much happier with either Devontae or Jalen, but I think Devontae Smith's my number 1 out of that 3.
So I was actually faced
But
with this decision in Scott Fish in the 4th round of my draft, where all 3 guys are available, and I have all of them ranked back to back in my rankings after projections, and they're only separated by 4 total points from the top to the bottom. T. Higgins is my number 1. I want a part of the Joe Burrow offense, and if you're telling me the most affordable piece is going to be T. Higgins in the 4th round, and I understand Tyler Boyd, but you can't start Tyler Boyd every week. T. Higgins, I think, can be your wide receiver 1. He finished, in terms of points per game, he finished top 15 last year, and he missed time. Dude, when him and Chase are on the field, it is a special, magical thing. And you're not going to find a bigger Devontae Smith NFL fan than me. I like him more than A.J. Brown. But I do. I love Devontae Smith. The way that he plays at his size, he makes and this shouldn't be a knock on A.J. Brown because I think he plays hard-nosed. Devontae Smith will look for contact to try and run through a guy while A.J. Brown probably outweighs him by 50 pounds. Will find a way to avoid contact because he thinks he's going to get hurt. Devontae Smith, that is, Slim Reaper size, will try and plow through a guy that's like 50 pounds heavier. So I love him, but to me, it's Higgins, and then you've got Waddle, and then you've got Smith, just purely based on how the offense is run.
You hear that, Johnny?
Bengals that are going to throw the most. You're going to have
That's fine. I'm telling you, Waddle's going to have a ridiculous season this year, bro.
I agree, Johnny. I agree 100%. But
Why do you say no, Sam? Why do you say no?
I think T. Higgins is better. I'm not saying Waddle's going to have a bad year. I'm arguing that T. Higgins is number 1, basically what Ryan said.
So here's what I'd say. I've seen some talk that Devontae Smith is not going to have as good a year as he did last year, and this, that, the other thing. Go on that premise. Don't draft him. Leave him for me. I'll gladly take him. I just think that Devontae Smith is here to stay now. I think these 3 guys that Nick said are here to stay. They're going to be top 15 wide receivers in fantasy this year. All 3 of them. So
all of them are inside my top 15 with Higgins ranking 11, 12 is Waddle, 13 is Devontae Smith for me. Like they're literally all right there.
Any
right
one of those 3 could be your number 1, and you'd be good with that.
Which
Ryan,
is crazy. They're the number 2 in their own offense.
Ryan, I'm with you. I have them 11, 12, and 13.
All right, I got one more receiver question, then we're going to get to the quarterbacks and tight ends. So
I was going to say, we're not going to say hello to our super producer who decided.
Man, he's late.
He just had to show up.
He's got his lights on. I can see him. Is that you?
Let's turn the lights off back low because you're ugly. So let's go to these. I like to call this new quarterbacks throwing them the ball: Christian Watson, Calvin Ridley, or Drake London.
So for me, the easy number one is Calvin Ridley. You know that Ridley can be that top tier producer. He's going with Trevor Lawrence. That's the best quarterback out of all three of these guys. Lawrence is easily the best quarterback in my opinion. And I mean, he gets to have Christian Kirk and Zay Jones opposite him to take coverage away, plus Evan Ingram, plus a good pass catching running back in Travis Etienne. Dude, if he ends with 12 touchdowns, nobody's going to be shocked. I still think Kirk leads the team in targets, but I think that Ridley leads the team in fantasy points. Give me Ridley. And then I'll go Christian Watson, number 2. I love the connection that he's probably going to have with Jordan Love. Jordan Love, as a first-year starter, he's going to do one of two things. He's going to fold or he's going to hyper-target his number 1 wide receiver, and it better be the latter because Christian Watson showed last year that he can carry an offense.
Much
and if
better,
they let him
Tanner,
do that this year.
He's a vampire.
That was good.
Is
He
this
derailed
the
me
Off the
on
Rails
that.
show on Sundays by any chance?
Sorry, Ryan.
No, don't you apologize. That's good.
Oh, did you budget click?
So I'm with Brian on the order. I need to see Desmond Ridder prove it to me that he can go game after game with I think Kyle Pitts is gonna have a little bit of a rebound here. So I would put London third, Watson second, Ridley first. I will say in Green Bay, watch out for Romeo Doubs. I think Romeo Doubs could have a better year than last year.
Are you guys not worried at all
Dobbs is
about the
going to have enough
quarterback?
targets.
I'm worried
That's-
about the
You think
quarterback.
Ritter's going to play well in Atlanta?
I don't.
Who's Desmond Ridder?
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have
He'll
enough
be-
tape on the guy. You
Yeah,
can't
we don't.
judge the guy beforehand. Like we know Baker Mayfield's bad. Okay, we've seen that a long time. We don't know that Desmond Ritter's bad. He's played what, like 4 games in his career?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think he may surprise people.
Yeah.
the thing
I
you
like
have to
Atlanta
worry
this
about
year.
Atlanta, there's a new shiny toy called Bijan Robinson.
That's true.
Oh, he's gonna get like
Be
4
wary of
here.
that. Yeah, he's gonna get the ball more times.
It's
than
Arthur
he-
Smith. He's going to do it. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah,
what he's gonna
that's
do.
why they
Hey,
drafted him high for a reason.
I'm gonna give you one quarterback and one tight end, Ryan, before we get you out of here. Here's the quarterback set. Let's do Herbert, Lawrence, and then Johnny's guy Tua.
Ooh, man.
Who you guys like those out of those 3? Rank those 3.
Dude. I've got so
Yeah, I asked the tough question, Brian. I asked the tough question.
I have so much Tua, like because it's his draft price. I think that Tua has the chance to kind of vault into that top 8.
Yeah.
But he's 3 for me in this group. It's Lawrence, it's Herbert, it's Tua. And this isn't a knock on Tua because I think that you can go in, you can come out of your fantasy drafts with Tua as your QB1. You'll be perfectly
Pray
fine.
that he stays
And
healthy.
honestly, he's the best value.
Right. That's the key. That's the key right there.
Yeah.
The health thing I get, but like when you're paying, so I factor health in when it costs me a 6th round pick or higher. When it's a 7th round pick or lower, I don't give a damn about health because it's not going to cost me what it's going to cost me to get some of these other guys. Take the shot because
Right.
you're going to have a league mate that's like, oh, you're an idiot. He's going to tear his ACL. He's going to get 3 concussions this year. Or he'll play all 17 games and he'll be a top 15 player at his position. And then you won your draft because you got him at a discounted price. Like, if he was costing me a 6th round pick, a 5th round pick, yeah, I'm off of Tua because it's just too risky. But, 9th round pick, hell yeah, sign me up all day. I can pair him with Tyreek Hill. I can pair him with Jalen Waddle. I can get that stack action going on. I couldn't be happier with that if that was the case. But Lawrence and Herbert are like this to me. Like, those are 2 of the 4 guys that I think, for me, and I've talked about this on other shows, there's 4 guys at the top for quarterback. It's Allen, it's Hurts, it's Mahomes, and it's Burrow. Those are your elite 4 that give you that week winning production pretty much every single week. Then there's 4 more guys behind him that I think can get into that spot, and it's Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. Those are the next 4 guys that I think can jump into that top 4, and I think that Lawrence has the best opportunity to do it this year. Now, it's like this though. It's like this because I love the addition of Quentin Johnston, but it seems like all the receivers in LA they can't stay healthy together at the same time. And we saw how much that cost him last year. He had his worst fantasy season by far last year because of all that. So yeah, give me Lawrence number 1, and then Herbert, and then Tua.
Yeah,
Scott?
I'm all in on Lawrence this year. I'm totally in on Lawrence. I think he's going to take his game to the next level. I think you saw in the second half of that playoff game where they came back and beat the Chargers. I think he's a really good decision maker. He's confident in his throws. Not saying Herbert isn't, because he is. I agree with Ryan. It's right there for me, and then Tua is a little bit lower. But I just think Lawrence is about ready to take the next step in the NFL this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think he's got the better coach too, and Doug Peterson.
I certainly do. Certainly, I do.
Even over Tua, Johnny.
No, I'm talking about out of Lawrence and Justin Herbert. You know what I'm saying? I think.
Well,
Trevor Lawrence
That's not fair to McDaniel. He's had 1 year.
I'm not gonna take Tua over those two guys because of the injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. As much as I think the kid is gonna have a good season and he's gonna stay healthy, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So if I was picking, I would go with Trevor Lawrence, then Justin Herbert, then I would go Tua.
And the other
I gotta be real. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Dolphin fan in the whole shit, but I got to be real about it. You know what I mean? But I think Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson, second year in his offense, you know what I'm saying? Ridley's going to be there now. I think Trevor Lawrence has a chance to have a really, really good year this year.
And the other thing, last quick thing, as long as Dalvin Cook is out there, Miami still has a shot to get him. And if they get Dalvin Cook, they're going to run the ball an inordinate amount of times, which means Tua's going to throw the ball a little bit less, which will bring his fantasy value down just slightly. I know Dalvin rejected the Dolphins' initial offer, but he's still sitting out there. And Miami's still talked about as the team he's going to. So
yeah, unless somebody comes with $8, $9, $10 million, he's going to be a Dolphin, man. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for Ryan. We'll get to the tight ends real quick. We got Evan Ingram, Darren Waller, and Schultz.
Well, Schultz is easy 3 for me. I've got him behind guys like Dolchich and Freiermuth.
Okay.
I do. Listen. This is not. I guess I could say it's not a knock on the player. Schultz is a guy, man. Like, the reason Schultz was great is because Dak loves a tight end. And Schultz was going to get beat out by what's his name there? Before he got hurt. Now I can't even remember his name. It was like 2-3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he goes to Houston. There's a good chance that he's going to lead the team in targets, but when you've got an offense that's going to throw at a much lower rate than what it was in Dallas, he's going to max out at 115 targets, and then you're downgrading from Dak to CJ Stroud, first-year rookie. I mean, I know that Stroud is accurate, but is he going to be Dak in his first year? I highly doubt that. That's a tough bar to clear for a first-year rookie. No, I'm good on that. I'll take him as my 3 in this scenario. And Waller and Ingram are back-to-back to me. I will take the shot on Waller over Ingram because I think that Waller has the chance to lead his team in targets. You know, you look at the Giants wide receiver room, it's basically all slot wide receivers except for Darius Slayton. So there's no reason that this team isn't going to just funnel targets to Darren Waller. Waller thrives as the top target on his team. We've seen him do it when he was a Las Vegas Raider. So I'll take that. I understand the injury risk, but really Ingram before last year was an injury risk too. So if anybody wants to argue the injury risk with Ingram between him and Waller, you've got a mute point there because Ingram's had one good season where he's healthy and the rest of them, he's had some sort of nagging injury. So I like Ingram, but these guys are going right next to each other in drafts pretty much. And I'm taking the shot on Waller every single time.
So, Ryan, it was Blake Jarwin that was going to take over.
Thank you.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the name. Jesus, Blake Jarwin. Tanner, I see you talking in the corner.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer, bro. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
I go with Schultz 3, Ingram 2.
Can't hear you, Tanner. Can't hear
Waller
you.
1. Because I think Ingram has too many mouths to feed around him. I think his target share is going to be a little bit less because of Ridley. Waller is going to get a ton of targets this year from Ryan's favorite quarterback, Daniel Jones. I just think that, they traded for him. Brian Daboll's the head coach. He's going to get Waller on certain routes that are going to benefit Waller. I just look for Waller to be the number 5 tight end in fantasy this year. I think he's going to get peppered with targets. So
you take him over Goddard, Scott?
Ooh.
I
Don't
would
you have to because of AJ Brown? Because
I actually
Brown
got it because I think that, again, mouths to feed. You got DeAndre Swift now in Philadelphia. You got Devonta Smith. You got AJ Brown. You got Kenneth Gainwell. You got Glass Rashad Penny, who might get 1 or 2 targets a game. I just think that Waller's going to get a ton of targets. It's all about opportunity for me at the tight end position. If I'm not drafting Kelsey early, I'm waiting to try to get Waller in the mid-round someplace, or I'm going after Chig in the late rounds or Njoku, one of those guys.
Before you go, Ryan, Kelsey at first round, we drafting Kelsey in the first round.
Yes, already did.
He's a top
What's the highest you drafted him at?
So the guys that I will take over him for sure are McCaffrey, Jefferson, Kupp, and Chase, which makes him 5. So 5 is the earliest I'll take him.
You couldn't come up with one more name to make Tanner say 6. You couldn't.
I ain't saying 6. Ryan can say 6 if he wants. I'm not saying 6. That's 5. 5 is the minimum.
Scott Fishbowl is a tight end heavy premium league. Kelsey's been going first overall in a lot of those leagues where quarterbacks
makes sense, bro.
are the thing that you need to get. If you don't have a stud quarterback, you could be in a little bit of trouble in the Scott Fishbowl. But I've looked at drafts over and over again. Kelsey's been number 1 in at least what, Ryan? 25% of them, maybe. 30%?
Oh yeah, he went minimum? 3 in mine, but it's only because there was a Chiefs fan who took Mahomes first overall, and then somebody took.
Tanner, why are you drafting Mahomes first overall?
I don't. He's not number 1 in my book. Ever.
And Josh Allen went 2 in this league.
Easy.
2?
Easy.
What? Late to the show and you came in fired up.
What's your brother doing, dude?
No. Listen, my projections: Josh Allen is 1, Jalen Hurts is 2, Mahomes is 3, Burrow's 4. That's my projections.
Hey, Ryan, we appreciate you joining us as always, brother. Tell the people all the articles and where they can find you at and everything else. Get those plugs in before we get you out of here.
You got 20 more minutes?
Yeah, we got Ashton waiting. So
I was going to say, for you, man.
There were some people I'd like to thank.
Yeah. Well, that's what it feels like every time I end these podcasts. So, guys, just make it easy. Go to @FFTP on Twitter. I'll share all my stuff there. You can go to Yards Per Fantasy for all my articles that I do. Rotoballer is where I do a lot of my my weekly stuff. I can announce it here. I'm officially covering the Eagles and the Packers again for Rotoballer this year. So Nick, you will be able to be covering your team. I had to take it for you. They asked me again. They're like, "You sure you want the Packers this year?" I'm like, My brother-in-law wants them, so he loves them. I gotta take them.
Family, what can you do?
My adopted brother wants them, so yeah. So I'm covering those guys again this year. You'll see that every single week, and it pops up on the Sleeper app if you guys use Sleeper, so that those little news articles that you see every week. Those reviews of their week will be from me, so that'll be happening for me over at Rotoballer. I mean. Other than that, man, a lot of my stuff is just going to be Yards Per and Rotoballer as we go through the year. Follow me on Twitter @FFTP. And then if you guys have any questions, DM me. I'll answer every question. I've been answering questions pretty much for the past month and a half with Scott Fishbowl coming up. And
how many in the last week from Paul Hope?
Yes, that's what
actually Paul. So Paul hasn't even really been asking me as much. He's just been telling me what he's been doing, which I love because that means he's been paying attention. But he went with Dak Prescott, I think in the 3rd round of Scott Fish, and I was like, Paul, what are you doing, man? You can't. Not as your QB2. I don't know. I didn't like that.
Hey, you can lead the horse to water, Ryan. You just can't make him drink it.
I know, man. I'm trying. He got the trifecta of CMC, Debo, and I think Kittle, though. So he's got all 49ers.
Of course he did. Of course
I was about to say, did he take all 49ers after that pick?
Get it in.
He said he's not picking with his heart, but it sounds like he's picking.
Sounds like he's taking
real quick.
Everybody else.
Sunday show. Obviously, go catch the Off the Rail show that I host with.
That's Ryan's best show that he's on.
4 out of the 5 of these gentlemen will be on it, at least to my knowledge, this week. We'll see. We keep losing a guy every week, I feel like.
I'll be there.
As soon as I get moved completely, I will be back to every Sunday, man.
Dude, Johnny,
I miss out on that one, man. I'm looking forward to being on there with you guys, yo.
Well, this Sunday, I'm going to be shooting it live from my brother's house. Matt is going to join me, and also for the first time ever making a podcast appearance, my dad is going to join.
Hell
us.
yeah!
I gotta be there.
I gotta be there. Here's my
If Papa Larrison is gonna be there, I gotta show up for this one.
I wanted to announce that here.
That's
Nick
awesome.
can finally meet his adoptive father, and we have a big family
First question I'm
reunion.
asking is, who's his favorite son? And if he doesn't say anything, we're kicking him out.
I'll make sure to prep him beforehand.
I think he already knows.
Nick, you
That's
need
true.
to
He
go
probably
out there and
does.
be with the Larrisons and do the remote from the Larrisons' house on Sunday.
Yeah, I guess my invite got lost in the mail, you know?
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it's a
Ryan
long
was in
drive.
charge of sending them out, you know?
Yeah,
It's weird.
yeah. Matt was in charge of sending the invites out. He was like, just threw it away.
That is
Matt can't
definitely
wipe
a
his
must
ass on
watch
his own,
right
so I'm
there,
not
boy.
surprised.
Hey, Ryan, we'll get you out of here on that note. The man who finished second place next to me in the LTS Fantasy League, Mr. Fantasy himself, Mr. Triple FTP, everybody, Ryan
Thanks,
Larrison.
Ryan.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
That was football talk, gentlemen. That was freaking football talk. That's what I'm talking about. Hell
All
yeah.
right. Hey, good job. Let's go ahead and let's get into Tanner. Welcome. Not there. You're in the Yankee Fin spot. If you can go ahead and get us that ad read before we bring in our second guest of the night. Now you're not even on
see me,
screen.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Now we can't see you, but we can hear you.
What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Anyways, if you can hear me,
We got you.
It's all over the place. Anyways, guys, Owner's Box, daily fantasy sports. So your football, your basketball, your baseball, your hockey, etc. out there. Great site to use. Plenty of matches to go about. Use promo code LTS. It's Let's Talk Sports. LTS for a matching deposit. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Up to $500 matching deposit with your promo code LTS. If you put 500 in, you get 500. You put 300 in, you get 300. You put $50 in, you get $50 back, baby, to use and to go win. So go check out Owner's Box. Use the promo code LTS and go get your matching deposit today.
Nice.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in our next guest. He is media director at Peak One Sports, contributor at Fansided, covering DFW sports, sports writer at the Burleson Buzz, and one of the guys with the smoothest voices in the business, one and only Ashton Nix, baby.
Ashton!
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey,
It is time for our obligatory Cowboys talk. So,
With the
It's
intro like
mandatory,
that,
just
I don't know.
like
You're going to make
ESPN,
people.
just like ESPN.
follow.
Oh yeah, right.
Ashton,
Yeah,
what's
for
going
sure.
on, man? How you doing? What's your thoughts already on what's the thoughts on the Cowboys as they get ready to start training camp?
Oh man, it's just like it is every year. We, as Cowboys fans, we're disappointed, and because we're thinking Super Bowl every year, and we get built back up and say we're not doing it this year, and now we're thinking Super Bowl again. No,
Dak said it, right? Dak said Super Bowl or bust.
I mean, do you
He
want
has
to hear
to.
what else is your quarterback going to say though? He's going to say, "Yeah, I just don't think we'll have it this year."
Like,
I mean,
you
it's
want a
true.
quarterback that doesn't say it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I
the
would.
quarterback says it. Like,
Dak has some faults, but one of his greatest strengths is his motivational speaking, and saying exactly what he's supposed to say. You
I
know,
feel like it's Super Bowl or bust for Mike McCarthy. Am I not right?
no, you were 100% right. The Cowboys, I mean, Dak is with the Cowboys whether they like it or not, whether they want to or not. They're not getting out of that contract very easily. They're talking extension just to level the cap a little bit. But McCarthy, man, if he's, I say at least NFC Championship, and then if you lose there, it's got to be a damn good game, and not one of his classic time management issue calls is why they lose, and he might get an extension.
It can't be those weird plays at the end, right? Like how the last two plays to end their season, the last 2 years have been, what the hell was that, right? Like the 2 years ago was the Dak Prescott quarterback run slide, and then last year it was, let's put Zeke at center and I don't even know, I felt like my 13-year-old son drew that play up.
Yeah, no. In the words of our ex-coach Jason Garrett, it's all about execution in the process. They didn't execute the plan.
That's right.
No, for sure. I mean, blame whoever you want to blame, but Mike McCarthy has no one else he can blame if he's not able to do it. They got rid of Kellen Moore, so it's all on him. Mike McCarthy's calling the offensive plays, so if he's not able to get it done this year, it's you're blaming Dak or you're blaming the coach, but the coach is a lot easier to get rid of.
Is this seat hot at all? Is it hot?
Yeah. Seat, is it fire?
Yeah.
McCarthy's seat in Dallas, at least from our perspective, has been hot for a few years.
Since he joined.
Since he joined, since he had that press conference when they hired him, and he said, "Yeah, I just said that to get this job." It's hard. You have to win Super Bowls or be doing really well not to be on the hot seat in Dallas.
So I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Do you think that Kellen Moore? Talk about their running game.
Go ahead.
Tony Pollard does not strike me as the guy that's going to run in between the tackles and get the top 1 or 2 yards for a first down. Is it really going to be Deuce Vaughn in that role, or do you see them bringing somebody in to help?
Jerry Jones keeps saying that they have their eye on Zeke, which, I mean, okay, if you give him the right contract, but then again, you got rid of him to save a certain amount, but you still have like $7 million against the cap, I believe. Yeah. So even if you bring him back for just a couple of million, you're almost paying him exactly what he would have made. But there's a lot with Tony Pollard they haven't been able to see because he's been the outside kind of running and passing back while Zeke's been up the middle, third down situations. No, I see Deuce Vaughn kind of running into that Tony Pollard's role the last few years. I don't think Deuce Vaughn's going to last very long if he's running in between the tackles very often. I think he's going to be the one lining up at receiver sometimes, being Dak's little dump off pass, that role. I mean, I see them going after somebody. I don't think they have a power back right now on the roster, but who knows?
Are we going to see the Jabril Cox, DeMarvion Overshown combo hit that middle linebacker spot this year? Are we going to see it at all?
I hope so. I mean, they keep throwing Parsons in with that linebacker group, but he just doesn't play enough of it. So I think they're going to have a lot of questions to be answered in the linebacking group. And I think that's one of the I don't know if you want to call it an experiment, but one of the things they're going to try, the projects they have to really work that out, because I think, they've kind of helped out, signing Stephon Gilmore with their secondary. I think the linebackers probably their weakness right now. If there's a big weakness on this defense, because it was tackle, and they've kind of they've
Hankins.
Taken care of. I mean, they've at least done something about it. We'll see. And then drafting Mozzie Smith as well. But I think that linebacker group will have a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm curious about.
Is it a fabrication to say that Dan Quinn is waiting for that head coaching job? Is that like complete fabrication?
Probably, but that's my theory. I mean, the first year after he completely turned around this defense from one of the worst in probably not even just Cowboys history, but in NFL history. There weren't a lot of head coaching positions open for him. He had a few interviews, I believe a couple of offers, but you're like, okay, whatever. And then the second time, he just same deal. He said, I want to come back and be defensive coordinator. And I'm thinking, well, this is it for Mike McCarthy. He's got to win a Super Bowl or he's out or do very good. So Dan Quinn, in my opinion, thinking is he's either the defensive coordinator for another Cowboys Super Bowl team or he's first in line to be head coach for the Dallas Cowboys the next year. So it's a win-win for him.
That's true. On that.
Ashton, do you think that Dallas can challenge Philadelphia for the East crown, or do you think it's Philadelphia's division?
It's definitely Philadelphia's to lose. This is one of those weird divisions that head to head, I always say, at least the last few years, I'll just pick the Cowboys Eagles to split because that seems to be always how it happens, no matter which team's better. Last year was kind of weird because Dak didn't play the game they lost, and then Hurts didn't play the games the Eagles lost. You didn't get to see them go head to head, but both teams I feel improved. Eagles lost a lot, but they also got a lot in the offseason. The Cowboys are bringing back pretty much the same defense with a couple more pieces. The Cowboys have a lot more differences. They got rid of Kellen Moore. They have different receivers. Losing Zeke, although Zeke wasn't, he wasn't the dominant back, but it was still, we were thinking Tony Pollard probably wasn't ready just yet. But now it doesn't matter whether he's ready yet. He's the starting back as of now. Yeah. So I certainly think that the Cowboys have a chance. It's definitely going to be Philly or Dallas, depending on, of course, unless there are injuries. But it's definitely Philadelphia's to lose.
What are you looking forward to in training camp when it starts next week? What position group and maybe a couple players?
Really offensive line, because I want to see what all they work out with Tyler Smith. I know they'll probably work him out at guard a lot more. I'm thinking as long as Tyron Smith can stay healthy, he'll be your left tackle. So Tyron Smith will be guard. And if and when he has to come up, because Tyron Smith hasn't, played more than like 10 or 11 games in a long time.
It's been like 3 or 4 years, right? For him?
Yeah. In the last few years, he's only really played a few. He's just becoming injury prone. He's getting older, and it's just these weird injuries and non-contact type injuries. And when he's on the field, he's a perfectly good back. He's not what he used to be, but he's definitely better than a lot of the backups. So I'm interested to see what they do with the offensive line, more particularly on the left side.
Yeah, that's good.
Ashton, looks like the Eagles in the NFC North is number one. Is the Cowboys going to be number two, or do you have a team that you think could contend in the NFC for other than the Eagles?
The 49ers have a really good roster. It really depends what they do at quarterback. It depends who's available at quarterback. I don't even know if they really know if Brock Purdy's going to be healthy to start the year. They got to figure out something with Trey Lance. They just brought Darnold in.
Yeah.
They have a lot of
Allen's there.
Yeah, that's true too. Outside of the quarterback position, they probably have the most or the best overall team, it seems like, because there's not a lot of holes in the 49ers outside of what their quarterback's going to do. I'm just thinking if you have a capable quarterback, they're going to succeed there regardless. And trust me, Cowboys know firsthand. They've gone up against two different quarterbacks and lost in the playoffs.
Right.
Hey, I want to ask you an NBA question before we get you out of here, Ashton.
I got a couple MLB questions.
Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
I got the NBA too. I think you're going to ask the same thing I'm going to ask, so go ahead.
Yeah. Kyrie extended to Dallas. What's your thoughts on Kyrie to staying in Dallas? Is that relationship going to work with him and Luka?
The short answer is eventually no. It never works out with Kyrie any other place. At some point, it goes well until it doesn't. When you have Kyrie, it's like a ticking time bomb. You don't know when it's going to go on. You may have 2 really good years with him. You may have 6 months with him. But the position they were in, I'm glad they re-signed him. It didn't seem like they were going to be able to trade him anywhere, and you didn't want to just lose him. Luka openly vouched for him and wanted him on the team. So, I mean, if Luka's happy about it, you have two really good superstars. They just have to make it work. And it's kind of the opposite of what the problem Kyrie usually has is everybody wants the ball. And last year it was the opposite. They kept trying to give each other the ball. So I think that's something they can work out with. It's not an ego issue, at least not yet. I think finding superstars might be the hardest piece to put in a championship team. So now that they have two, the Mavericks just have to figure out how to put a decent enough team around them to make a playoff run.
Right. And I think they started doing that here with Seth Curry edition, Josh Green, of course, and they actually made a trade yesterday that was kind of on the low end there, but
Grant Williams. They got Scott Grant Williams.
Yeah. They said do a sign and trade with Grant Williams, adding the Grant Williams to that defensive position there, which is what he bolsters that Dallas that needs, obviously, because they couldn't stop anybody from scoring to save their life to even get them a break there. So but you send Reggie Bullock off, he goes to San Antonio with the 2030 first round pick. So, but what's your thoughts here on this trade with Grant Williams and in Seth Curry additions?
Seth Curry is a good one. I mean, really what you're looking for, you're not looking for a lot of ball handlers. You have Luka and Kyrie. Like I said, they're going to handle the ball. You're looking for defense and 3-point shooters, easily 3-and-D guys. But Seth is an excellent shooter. We've seen him. This will be his third stint with the Mavericks. And Grant Williams will add that defense, and he can shoot the ball as well. I think really with the trade, the piece you're worried about losing is really that 2030 pick, because if Luka decides in the next couple of years he wants out, that 2030 pick could easily be a very, very high pick because it's going to be unprotected. But, the Mavericks are doing a good job of getting rid of some of these bad contracts. Reggie Bullock wasn't a great contract. I mean, he had spurts here where he's pretty good, but he just wasn't consistent enough. We had seen enough, and then they had gotten rid of Davis Bertans in a trade on draft night, and that helped him out. He was a bad contract, and it really the key now is, like I said, get 3-and-D players and then clean up the cap space to see what they can do.
Yeah, I agree there. I think building the depth is what really messed up for the Dallas Mavericks last year with Luka and Kyrie. So having that is going to be huge for that team. Let's switch to the Rangers for a minute. So second.
Wait, I got a basketball question
go ahead, Johnny.
real quick before you switch to the Rangers here. If it doesn't go well this year, is there any chance Luka's asking for a trade next season?
I don't think so. Nothing's pointing to that. The only reason people ask that is because
Kyrie can have that effect on people, though.
Yeah, true, but I'm sure if Luka goes to Cuban, which I don't know that that's his personality. I think if it's between Kyrie and Luka, Cuban's picking Luka. But we just live in a time and an age in the NBA where players have a lot more control and can demand trades like that. Luka says time and time again he likes it here. He wants to stay here. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. That again, that's what he's going to say. Like, what are you going to say? Well, let's see what Cuban can do, and we'll see if I want to stay here. He can't say that. At the same point, even if he feels that 100%, you have a bad, frustrating year this year. It's not working out with Kyrie. He's on a multi-year contract, and there's no end in sight. Then, things can change. And definitely being a team that's not New York, Miami, or Los Angeles, you always have that worry about losing a superstar because honestly, not everybody's going to be Dirk Nowitzki and stay at a loyalty. You can't hold those kind of standards to anybody. So, I don't know that Luka won't do that. I hope he doesn't. And, I hope he has a big say in that front office where he can get what he wants.
Right. I agree there. All right, let's do the Rangers here before we get out of here. I got a couple of Rangers. So your second, right? I guess second half of the season, whatever you want to call it, right? The last couple months here. Your first stretch right off the All-Star break is not a pretty one for this Rangers team that has been struggling this, before the All-Star break again. So you got Cleveland, the Rays, Dodgers, Houston, and then the Padres, all back-to-back series for the rest of the July. How worried are you if you're a Rangers fan? And do you think you guys keep the lead?
It's hard to tell because you never feel comfortable with Houston, with a team that started out slow when they weren't supposed to, and then you're a team that started out great when you weren't supposed to. We'll have to see. It's been a small sample size. It looks like it could be. The Rangers are kind of, they started off great, but they're kind of going back to what they really are. And the same with Houston. Houston's only a couple of games behind. The Rangers have been struggling, but they still, hold the third best record in the American League. I think they're in a good position given the AL Central is really horrible, that whoever wins the AL West is going to have that bye in the playoffs and automatically go to, I guess it's still called the division series, even though it's really like the second round.
Yeah, in that plot. So do you think so I'm looking here towards the end of the season, right? Your last three series, Mariners, Angels, Mariners. You're going to face the Mariners twice going into the last three series. Is that a concern for you that if Rangers don't get a bigger lead, you're going to have maybe issues because Mariners are catching fire too?
It all depends what they do at the trade deadline. I think it's pretty universally thought that they have to do something at the trade deadline because
reliever, right? At least.
Yeah. They went down and they went out the last two off seasons and spent a lot of money and done a lot. And a lot of their prospects are working out very well. Josh Young's doing great. Their infield's really solid. They're getting a lot of production from a lot of players that they kind of expected to, but it was kind of like everybody happens to kind of be working out except some of the bullpen, which is kind of their main issue. And then of course DeGrom got hurt. So I think they're looking for at least one or two bullpen guys and then a starting pitcher as well. And the end of the season, this could be a completely different team. You knew they were on the rise. They thought, okay, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. And then this year it just kind of gets slammed out. Hey, we're doing good. They have a good farm system. They have guys coming up and then they have guys they can deal to get some of those pieces. So, it really complicates things with expanded playoffs and everything, that a lot of teams feel that they're still in it and they may not be sellers in it, or it may cost more to get some of those players.
Yeah, I agree there. Ashton, can you we'll let you go here, but what is One Peak Sports? Because I know that's fairly new, right? It's something that
Peak One Sports we started. It's good. Me and my brother started it in middle of March. Yeah, it's very, very new, but it was there were a couple different podcasts with some guys in California and a guy in Australia, and we were trying to collaborate with all this stuff, and we just kind of started it and we put a name on it and added a YouTube page, and then we just kind of all started doing shows and putting them on there, and then we have a website and a couple of writers, and it's just, it's nothing huge. It's not ESPN or anything, or it's not even Let's Talk Sports yet, but it's grown a lot just in the last few months.
Gotcha. And then this might be old news now, but there was a site you posted that had something to do with betting, and I can't remember what exactly everything to do. I remember checking it out, or at least looking through it. But Betalytics, there you go.
Yeah, they're one of our sponsors. I don't know if,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they want to. If Let's Talk Sports wants us to talk about it or anything.
I was just curious about it because I remember seeing that off your site too. So
yeah, no, that's just one of our sponsors. But you can go to all of our social media stuff and see more about them.
Cool. Yeah, kind of a cool little tool.
Hey, Ashton, we appreciate you joining us as always, my friend. Everybody, please check out at One Peak Sports. Give it up for our obligatory Cowboys talk in the smoothest guy, smoothest voice in all of the radio, Mr. Ashton Nix.
Thanks, Ashton.
Thank you, Ashton.
Thanks, Ashton.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Have a good day.
Be safe, bud.
Hey, before we say our goodbyes, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts real quick on the Northwestern, the football coach and the hazing and all that before we say our final goodbyes. Scott, what's your initial thoughts on the Northwestern stuff?
In this day and age and everything that's gone on in the last 4 or 5 years in college sports, for something like that to come up is just pure stupidity from a coach. I mean, I haven't heard him come out and say, I knew nothing about it or whatever, but now
he did deny it. He said he did deny it.
Okay. From what I read, they are now thinking of pending litigation, or they have already started it, saying that he was not fired for wrongful things.
Which players have come out. The freshmen came out. So we talked about this on the Buffoon show last night, and players came out and said he does similar gestures to what they were hazing with, such as they call it the Hulk clap or whatever it is, and stuff like that. So he does these gestures of the hazing stuff that was being reported. Not the dry humping with purge mask, but at least the hazing stuff that was reported by players since 2007.
You've also had kids though come out and say that that's not true. The hazing stuff's not true. So it's a little bit.
They're the ones that are doing it.
I was about to say, those are probably the ones that are doing it, bro.
Today, their baseball coach, Northwestern baseball coach, got fired today too because of hazing. So it must just be a cultural thing.
It's what it is.
But at Northwestern,
we talked about this. Like I said again on the Buffoon show last night, we talked about this too. Like, I mean, the dry humping with the purge mask, that's way over the line. Some other shit, it's just locker room shit that you're gonna get no matter where college you go. Right. But today's age, today's nature, today's society, we're all fragile, right? It's all fragile. Fragile is your theme word for society.
Are we fragile? Are we just more caring about people's feelings these days? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Both.
It's really fragile. Like,
does
we're
it make
all
you
very
fragile
sensitive to certain stuff.
It doesn't make you fragile because, like, we're not picking. You know what I mean? Because, like, people
you got a little more respect and compassion for people.
Yes, because we're not bullying. Because we're not, bullying or hazing somebody and then they go home and then they kill themselves.
Like, that's your choice, but also at the same time, the person who's getting the, whatever the clap is, that really loud clap, like, it's a fucking clap, dude. Like,
that's different. Everybody. Yes, that's different.
But,
I'm talking
like your what do they call it? The car wash is what they call it. So basically, the naked guy stands in front of the entrance to the shower and rotates as people pass by. That's fucking weird, dude. What are we doing?
That's really odd.
What are we doing?
And then, like you said, the whole dry hump with the mat, that's fight, bro.
Purge mask.
I'm swinging on you, bro.
They tied him up, put him in a dark room, and they dry humped him. Upperclassmen, 8 to 10.
Don't be the first
what are we
one that I
doing
see
in the
when I
haze?
get untied, bro.
So
Crazy,
isn't it worse that the Northwestern coach said he didn't know about it? You don't know that's happening in your locker room?
He's been in the program.
Those football coaches.
He played for Northwestern. He played for Northwestern. He's been there for almost all his adult life.
His 2001. He was the linebackers coach.
Since 2001, it's your dream job, basically, because you went to school there, you coached there, now you're the head coach, okay? And you don't know what's going on in your program, and you're the head coach, and you turn a blind eye to everything. Come on.
At that point in time, right? If you don't know, then what is it called? It's called lack of institution control, like minus the hazing and everything like that.
You should be fired for that. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on in your program.
Allegedly, there was like a whiteboard in the middle of the locker room, and you're just turning a blind eye to things. It's different because you did hear when he first got fired, the 2 weeks, it was like one kid, and all the kids said this kid was going to come out and say stuff, and they all knew that he was going to say it, and it was all going to be a baloney. But then there was started to be more and more, and at that point in time, you can't just turn a blind eye to it. He'll never coach again, right? He'll never be a head coach anyplace else again.
Well, Art Briles was it, so why would he be?
Right.
Urban
So
Meyer's
president-
going to be a coach again, isn't he? Right? And I
The
mean,
president of Northwestern wanted to get him out as quickly as he could.
Yep.
He didn't think he had enough evidence until he talked to a guy, had a guy come in his office, he talked to him, and then he got enough evidence. There was one gentleman or one player or one person, whatever, that really outed Pat Fitzgerald in all this. Basically gave him everything on a president on a silver platter, and in the end, the president said, "We have no other choice. You're out. See you later, buddy."
It's weird because Northwestern is not a athletic school either, right?
No,
So like
it's
this is
supposed to be
yes,
It's a
West.
journalism. It's a journalist. You know what I'm saying? That's one of their biggest majors. I heard that they were the ones that kind of reported all of it
Right,
too.
they did
Yeah.
report it, yes.
they did. They did.
so what do you,
Good for them,
what's
bro. Good for
what's
them.
the over under about which question goes to Peter Skronsky at Titans camp this year?
It's
Third
quote unquote the
question,
Stanford
the
of
second
the
one.
Northwest.
I'm gonna go
The
first.
Stanford of the
Easily.
Midwest.
No,
Northwestern.
no.
Yeah.
First question will be, "How you doing today?" It's always something like, "How was the workout?" "Oh yeah, sweating it up and everything." "Hey,
Were-
did you get hazed? You all right?"
Were you running around naked at the I guess whatever they do
Right.
at rookie camp is not going to be nowhere near what he had to deal with at
Do we
Northwestern.
think?
Oh,
do
I'm
we
here
think-
to talk about the team. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Right? Do we think
Yeah.
that with this allegation and everything else happening on these events, that this could lead to other big time schools in the Big Ten, in the SEC, in the Big
Oh,
Ten,
sure.
in the ACC?
Sure, there'll be a memo. There'll be a memo.
I mean, we might be seeing a lot of potential big deals.
I
happening
hope
in
that
the next
the
month.
seriousness of that stuff is not happening. I mean, there's been
No.
fraternities that have been shut down, schools shut down because
Yes.
of those type of hazings and things like that.
Has there been any assistant coaches that have lost their job over this?
No, that's the thing. They hired the defensive coordinator. That's what I don't understand is they fired him and they kept the rest of the staff and they hired the DC to be the head coach. So you're telling me they didn't know what the fuck was
The
going
guy
on?
that's been around for
Yeah, of
5
course they
years.
did.
What are we
Of course they
doing?
did. Most
Yeah,
of the
so-
time.
Do you want to change the culture and the progress of
Right.
things that were going on? You got to clean house and just hire. Maybe they just think it's too late in the year because they wouldn't be able to get anybody new right now.
But they would lose a bunch of players too. So
Right. I was
Mo-
going to say they
most
want
of
to
the
try to
time-
keep some type of continuity.
I don't think none of those guys are really going to. I mean, yeah, they're getting scholarships to play at Northwestern, but they're not going to. Most of Northwestern players aren't going to the league because
Right. Well,
yeah,
but the
you
good
know-
players are bouncing. They're going to dip.
they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They're
find
going to
someone.
go.
That's
They're
fine.
gonna go
And
somewhere
what do
else.
you hear most of the time in any of these football things? The head coach has one of the coordinators be the figure point in all of this stuff happening.
Yeah.
So for the
Yeah.
assistants not to get fired, that's a huge mistake on Northwestern's part because the whole coaching staff knew about it. They had to have. And now your head coach is the defensive coordinator. Come on, really? I mean, you're missing. I'm missing something here. There's something going on
Right.
that has not been reported yet. It just is.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Let's
there'll
go
be a
ahead
memo released and everything like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, 1,001%. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get out of here. Johnny, start us off on our your final goodbyes here.
All right. Well, on that same note there about bullying and hazing and stuff, man, that there's no place for that in this world right now. I used to say a lot, you know what I'm saying? The world is hard enough, don't make it worse by being a bad person. If you're bullying or teasing people, you know what I'm saying, you're just making things worse. You don't know what people are going through. So, you know what I'm saying, stop with the bullying and hazing and stuff, man. Try to uplift people, try to be good to people. And let's try to make this world a little bit better as much as we can for our children, man. Because it's just this world is getting worse and worse by the day, man. So don't make it any worse by being a bad person, man. Try to be good. So that's my final thought for tonight, man.
Mr. Hall of Famer Scott Cobe, final thoughts.
As Brian alluded to earlier, my Scott Fishbowl draft is Saturday and live in Boston. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can have as much success in fantasy as Ryan has had in the recent past, and as much as Nick has had with the championship last year, which is never repeating again. So, and the other point, again, I agree with Johnny. Make this world a better place. Do something nice for somebody that you know, or a neighbor, or whatever, and just be kind to people. You want respect back. Give people respect that they deserve. So,
Be kind and rewind.
that's right. Exactly.
Do that.
Exactly.
Sam.
Well, geez, you guys got all touchy-feely before I did. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we want to do what you do.
Bro, I've never been a fan.
Alan, you're in the basement.
I've never been a fan of bullies, bro.
Oh, wait a minute.
I've never been a fan of bullies. I've
Sam
never
goes,
liked bullies,
Sam's a
bro.
Guardians fan, right?
Yes, sir.
Sam's a Guardians fan. I heard today and I read today that the Red Sox are in on Shane Bieber if Cleveland falls out of it the next 2 weeks. So
I read the same thing.
yeah,
Why?
Thank
So they
you.
can finish
Thank
in
you.
last place by only one game instead of 5?
You're gonna miss your Hall of Fame speech if you're in my basement. Just remember that. Okay. All right. So you guys got all touchy-feely, but I really only have one thing to really touch on. This is the last month without football, boys. It's coming.
I mean, football's here.
I am already
5 days.
overjoyed. I even know I'm going to sit in a season where I think my team's going to stink, but I cannot wait to get in that seat. I cannot wait to root on my team. I cannot wait to talk to you guys about it. Football's around the corner, and that's reason enough to be excited. Even
Tanner,
if
let
it's
you
bull crap.
Hey, Pod Mom Tanner will let you cry on his shoulder, Sam, when you're crying.
happy days
Yes, sir.
are here again.
Tanner, go ahead and your final thoughts.
Final thoughts, guys. What else do I got to say?
Football!
Chiefs, Super Bowl championships, right? Champions, right? Going into this year. AFC West champions for the last, 5 years, essentially? Love it, right? Patrick Mahomes, 2 MVPs in those 5 years. And now in the ESPYs, he's the Male Athlete Award. He is the NFL Player of the Year. And then his team, the Kansas City Chiefs, are the best team overall in sports.
Mute his mic. Mute it.
This is what I'm talking about here. When you guys
Who
are
let
ready
this
to
guy
play,
on the show?
let's play. It's time for
Tanner, you
Chiefs.
forgot one thing.
You ain't getting
guys-
that Super Bowl.
Racking
one
up the
thing.
awards there.
Have you guys seen the Netflix QB specials yet?
I'm watching it this weekend.
No, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah,
I just have no interest in it. I don't
No.
know why. I just can't feel it.
I'm gonna check.
Hey, I'm
it
in
out.
it too, Alan. I'll be ready.
I'm all in. I'm all in on watching. I haven't watched it yet either. I've heard it's really good though. My biggest fear is going to make me a Kirk Cousins fan.
No, I heard.
Yeah, you'll become a fan of him, and they'll start going frick every 2 seconds. You'll get right back off that.
You
train.
could be a fan of the person. That doesn't mean you gotta. Say
Here's
that
a-
you
You like that? You like that?
A brief deal I heard. I heard it's Peyton Manning couldn't just have Patrick Mahomes on the show, so he had to put in a couple subs. So that's what it had to be. So that's what I mean, that's what I'm expecting when I'm watching it here. So
Tanner, you
Marcus-
forgot one thing before Nick goes. What about the match? They won the match too.
they did win the match. Look at that. Trophy's just out.
Hey, don't.
Bro, why are you
Let's
encouraging
give it
him?
go,
man?
baby. We beat
That's
Golden
not
State. Like we beat a basketball team. Let's be real.
What was I gonna say? I forget what I was going to say now. There's something about the QB thing. Oh, what 3 quarterbacks, before I go, what 3 quarterbacks would you guys like to see next year?
Josh Allen, Joey B,
Allen. Mhm.
and
Trevor Lawrence.
Herbert.
Yeah, I like Herbert. That'd be a good one.
Okay. I would like to see, I said Joey B. Oh, the Jets are going to be on Hard Knocks. That's going to be great.
Yeah, they hate.
Yeah.
I like Joey B. I
I
would
got
like to,
basically told you're going to be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
I'd like to see a
Somebody
young
wants
and
to
up
meet him.
and comer. I'd like to see Joey B. Maybe like Jordan Love or somebody like that. Because we got a little bit
be
of.
on the bench next year. What are we doing? We don't need. We're not going to watch him next year.
We're not
Yeah,
watching
watch him-
Mariota. And he
We're
was on
watching
the
him on the
TV
pine
show.
for a year. Yeah,
That's true.
Good job, dude. Good job. Way to take my
I
own
can't-
job.
Mariota was
can't-
on there. We knew he was going to be garbage.
I can't wait till he gets on there and he shows his personality of cardboard for everybody to see.
Who? Jordan Love?
No, freaking Mariota. They put him
Oh,
on there.
Mariota.
What are we doing here? You
Yeah,
know,
I would like to
you
see.
know.
So I'd like to see Joey B. I'll say Jordan Love. And what's another like? I wouldn't even mind seeing Tanny. That would be a good mix.
That'd be cool.
I would take those 3 guys. So my final thoughts is, I don't really have it. This was another great episode. Shout out to Ryan. Great fantasy questions. Ashton Nix, great Cowboy talk as well. So we'll be back Sunday morning, 8 a.m. We'll be talking, God knows what. We are going to be you guys want to start next Thursday, division breakdowns?
Yes.
I mean, training camp started, so might as well.
Yeah.
All right. Tanner's going to work on one guest for the division. We'll start picking our division. Scott's going to give us some fantasy tips next Thursday. We'll decide. We'll put out what division we're going to cover on Monday. Tell you we're going to do that Thursday. We'll start making our picks. We're going to write it down and roast each other for our awful picks on what division, who's winning each division.
I'm going to be toasted so bad.
So can't wait for that. Sam, have a great time at the watching Ella de la Cruz, man. That's
Yeah,
gonna
man.
be
I'm super
fun,
pumped.
Who are they playing? Who are they
got?
playing?
Brewers, I think. I think they're playing the Brewers.
Oh yeah, they're playing Tanner's brother.
Well, hell, I could have got you tickets, dude.
Well, I mean, my in-laws paid for it, so I'm fine.
Oh, well, that don't matter anyway. So
Yeah.
you're good.
Hey Sam, you want to come with us? Sure. I'll drink beer and eat brats all day. Why
Heck
not?
yeah, dude.
Let's do
So,
it.
so I hope you enjoy it. We can't wait to talk and see how your that trip is, Sam, on Sunday. Check us out again, 8 a.m. Central,
This will be me Sunday.
9 a.m. Eastern. So appreciate it. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow on the call-in show. So please call in. Risk your questions with me and the legend that is Dan Harris. Be a friend, tell a friend. Tanner, hit that outro. Let's get out of here.
Late December back in '63.
Life better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
Could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try to change, you can say no, free